Hey everybody, welcome back to My Wings of Refuge. I'm so excited today because today we're going to make some elderberry syrup. Now this is the time of year, however with COVID it's been this time of year, but with flu season coming on, with COVID still out there and the numbers just ramping up, anytime you want to boost your immune system or have some extra added protection from viruses and colds and things like that, I cannot recommend elderberry syrup enough. Now with the COVID out there, you hear a lot of talk about adding in your vitamin D and adding in your vitamin C, also adding in your zinc. Well, if you're taking zinc, you really need to be taking something like elderberry syrup or something as well, because it makes that zinc work even better for you. So if you have a cold coming on, you would want to take more of this. Otherwise, we're only going to be taking about a tablespoon a day as a preventative. So let's get started making our syrup. Now there's so many different ways to make this. What we're going to do today is we're going to make some that we're going to store in the refrigerator, and we're going to add in some additional spices and seasonings and herbs and things that are going to boost it a little bit more. But we're going to start off with 4 cups of just water. Now you can do any amount of this, but this is just what we're going to do today. This is my dried elderberries. They smell wonderful. Okay, so we're going to use 2 cups of dried elderberries. There we go. So I love cinnamon, and cinnamon is awesome also, but I'm picky about cinnamon. Some people will use just a couple of cinnamon sticks in here to flavor it a little bit, boost the immune a little bit, but most of the time your cinnamon sticks are cassia cinnamon, which is a false cinnamon. You can get some benefit from it, but if you're used to a real quality cinnamon, you won't like cinnamon sticks anymore, the cassia cinnamon. So I always use Ceylon cinnamon, and it is an absolute favorite. Once you use real cinnamon, you will love it and you'll never be able to go back to cassia. So anyway, this cinnamon is awesome, has some wonderful properties. We're going to put a tablespoon. It smells good, it tastes good, and it's really good for you. So next, we're going to add in some cloves, whole cloves. You can use clove powder if you would like also. Either one will work because we're going to strain all this later, but I'm just going to use a teaspoon. Let's do this way. Some people love cloves and some people do not. So if you're not a clove lover, leave it out. Some people like to add echinacea. Echinacea can boost your immune system as well. I often, from time to time, will take echinacea, but I also love to drink echinacea tea. And so you can either add this in or you can also leave it out. I'm going to add in just a teaspoon. Same thing with ginger. Some people love ginger, some people really hate ginger. I've also found that if you're really not sure, or some people can be in the middle, and so you can add a little ginger also. For some extra added benefit there. If you love ginger, you can add more. If you're not a fan of ginger, you can add less, but you can also leave it out. When in doubt, leave it out. Okay, we're just going to crank up our heat here. We want to come to a boil first. Then we're just going to simmer it for an hour. We want it to thicken a little and reduce by about half. Now you don't want to forget your lemon. Lemon is fantastic too, especially if you're getting a cold or have some sinus issues. We want to make sure these lemons are washed really good and remove as much of the outer wax coating as possible. Squeeze in all that juice, and we're going to toss in the rind as well. There we go. We're coming to a nice boil here, and I'm just going to start reducing the heat. So we have reduced and we're ready to get started. Okay, so now that we're going to cut the heat off, and we're going to pour all the contents in here to our bowl, and we're using our mesh strainer here. It should be small enough to capture all those little pieces. And let me just warn you that if this juice or something that splatters on you or gets on you, it will stain. I'm going to let this sit here for just a minute, and I'm going to let as much of this liquid get into our bowl as possible and let it cool down a little bit so that I can squeeze this out a little bit more. We want to savor every little drop. Okay, so before this completely cools, we're going to go ahead and empty this back into our container and set that aside. You can do different things with this. You can save it and make some milder elderberry tea for later, or you can take it out and feed it to your chickens and the birds. Some chickens love them, some may not eat them, but as long as they're cooked berries, it should be safe for them. So now we're left with our beautiful, beautiful syrup here, but now we want to sweeten it. And so I'm going to add 1.5 cups of pure local honey. Okay, so now we're going to pour in our 1.5 cups of honey very carefully. You want to do this while your syrup is still at least slightly warm. That way, it'll mix really well. But if you do it while it's too hot, you'll lose the benefit of adding the nutritional honey. Now we're just going to stir it really well. You can even add in a little bit of whisk. Okay, so we have our honey mixed in and it looks gorgeous, and now we're just going to pour it into our jar or whatever container that you would like to put it in. Okay, so here you have it. This is our elderberry syrup all ready to go. We're going to store this in the refrigerator, and for the maintenance dose, I'm going to take a tablespoon once a day. Now, if you notice any signs or symptoms of a cold at all coming on, then you'll want to take more. You'll want to take at least a tablespoon, maybe twice, 3, or even 4 times a day, just to make sure you're going to fight that off as much as possible. So, and when it starts to get a little bit low, you'll know it's time to start making some more before you run out. I hope you enjoyed this recipe, y'all. I hope you stay safe out there. I hope you are preventing this COVID virus as much as possible. For me in my house, we take olive leaf, we take the D3, we take zinc, and we take the vitamin C. Plus we do some other herbal things as well. But we also add the elderberry syrup. It's very important, y'all, especially if you're taking zinc. You need to be taking this as well. Have a great day. See you next week.